Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video, and finally another episode of BRAYTalks, a series that I I normally talk about non-sporting related topics, and this one's going to be a tough one. You can tell by my face, by my body language, that it's gonna be a hard one. Now, as we all know, if every family on this planet, where you experience good times, happy times as well, but you also in life go through sad times. And a couple of months ago, my family had its darkest time, probably in all my time since I was born. So yeah, which of course, if you guys saw the update video, please watch it, by the way. We experienced a family tragedy in that, out of the blue, my nan passed away. So in this episode, I want to talk about that. What happened? What happened from my perspective. There's some things that I haven't said, and even there's most things I haven't even said to any family member before. So yeah, it's gonna be hard for me to explain it throughout the whole story, pretty much. So here it is. So it started about mid-August. Mum told me that usually on the weekends I go up, or one day on the weekend I go up to see Nan and Pop, either on a Saturday or on a Sunday, depends on me. But mostly it's on a Sunday, because I want to spend Saturday, me time after working 5 days a week and that sort of stuff. So yeah. She said to me that I can't do that on this particular weekend because Nan and Pop potentially have. So yeah, because I can't. I don't know if we still can't say that, anyways. But yeah, so we, at the time, I was like, yeah, it's just fine, and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then that was on, I think it was on a Thursday or a Friday. I was like, oh, that's fine. Then on the Sunday, I get a call from Mum to say, could you get a bag and grab clothes and that to go up to Pop's, because Nan has now gone up to hospital. And I didn't know much about it, because my Pop's been through quite a lot. He's been in and out of hospital with multiple things, which is 110% not my place to say. He's been through quite a bit throughout the last 6-7 years, so he needs a lot of care as well. So that's why I had to go down there, and Mum had to, but we didn't know what was happening to her in a lot of ways. And it was. And this was on a Sunday as well, and then it wasn't until on the Wednesday, we, as a whole family, me, my aunts, my uncles, and my mum went to the local hospital, Latrobe Regional Hospital, down to see her. She looked like she was fine. She was fine. She was a bit ill, but at that point she was fine. She was fine. yeah, and then we were talking that sort of stuff, and she was being her normal self, and that, and yeah, and there was nothing out of the ordinary in terms of what was eventually going to happen. But then it's come out after that she has not had good night's sleep. She's often she's not she's had bad night's sleep, that sort of stuff at the hospital, which concerned a lot of us to the point where they actually moved her to ICU, which is the intensive care unit at the hospital, and we all thought it was just to for her to get some rest, because my nan was she was basically out all day to get stuff from Pop, and other things as well. I mean, on Sunday she goes to church and that sort of stuff. So yeah. So she's pretty much out every day. That's what we all thought, that she just needs a couple of days to get to get rested up. Then we get to this point. So throughout Friday, I thought, yeah, everything's gonna be fine, and that sort of stuff. And then as I'm just casually on my phone watching YouTube and sort of stuff, Mum comes in the room and says you need to get ready to go to the hospital. I'm like, what? What? We need a family meeting, and we rarely get that. We rarely have family meetings, and all that she said to me was, Nan's dying. And that shocked me really. Pop, it really hit him hard, because she thought, and he was chopping and changing a lot all the time, where he was going, and then he wasn't going, then he wasn't going, then he was, and yada yada yada, and then finally he went. He decided to go. It wasn't just, Mum and me and Pop and sort of stuff. All the immediate family went down there, and the doctors told us all that, and it was a lot of and I was just at the same time, because I'm a Storm fan. There was a Storm game on, and I'm a Storm fan. During that time when the doctors were explaining Nan's condition, I was just doing this up there. I was doing that because I was just not. I wanted to watch anything, but it was just. Which I'll explain that later. Of the reason why I'm doing that. All he said was, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's happening, and yeah. So at that point, the doctors did not know what was wrong with her. They did not know what was wrong with her, and she, yeah, it was not a good situation at all, to be quite honest. And eventually my uncle came down. He had left a few days earlier because he was helping me taking care of Pop. He left to go because he has his own family that he lives near Melbourne, and then due to that emergency meeting, he had to come back here and see us down at the hospital, and he was on the phone with us during this time as well. So yeah. And I remember, but one thing I do remember was walking in the room. At that point, I remember looking at Nan, and I just know that I just looked at her face, and I went, she's gone. she's gone. I looked at her face and I'm like, she's there, but not. It looks like it looked like on her face she looked like she was gone. She was gone. She was motionless. She was talking, she was moving, but the mood on her face, she was motionless. Of course, that's the motion. That's the face of someone who's on their last rites. That's as simple as that. Even my mum said to me that as well. Yeah. So yeah. So then eventually, I stayed. So basically, so it was a tough night's sleep for all us in the family, and let's just say it gets 10 times worse than that to come. But on Saturday there was a bit of hope where the doctors finally found out what was happening to her. Now, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something, I think, some rare bacterial disease or infection that eats some part of the organ. Don't know if it was the liver or the kidney. I think it was kidney. Because apparently, the doctors did say on Friday night, on this particular Friday night, that her liver, I think it was her kidney was gone, was stuffed. So yeah, for some reason, and because of that, her organs were shutting down there. So but there was a bit of hope when they figured out what it was. I can't remember what it was. Something I can't remember what it was, but yeah, and the doctors said, because I think Mum went there. I can't remember which other. I think all the family members, like my mum, my aunt, my uncle, were there. They basically, so they said to them that the only way for at least for her to survive at least, a few more months was dialysis. And Nan, throughout this time, was very adamant that she did not want to be on dialysis. She immediately said no dialysis. And yeah, and we all respected that and said no, we're all doing dialysis. Even Mum said to me on Friday night that even if she does get out of this, which I'll explain the results of what happened, with all what happened, she was never going to get out of the hospital. She was never going to go home again. She was never going to go home. She was going to spend all her time at the hospital. If she agreed to dialysis, she was going to spend all her time at the hospital. So yeah. But anyways, when she did that, for me, looking back, that was just basically the start of the clock to. That was the start of the countdown to the inevitable. That was the start of the countdown, and yeah, that was, and we thought that was our hope. And then on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, 6 a.m., Mum woke me up and said, "You gotta come home because we're all going to the hospital to say goodbye to Nan because she can possibly pass at any time." So yeah, and so I got home here, went home, and I just immediately just fell back to sleep because it was just 6 a.m. and I just didn't want to wake up at that time. So yeah, and then I woke up. I think it was probably about 9 or 10 a.m. And from then on, I was just waiting for the inevitable to happen. I was just waiting for the inevitable to happen. I was actually I was actually watching on YouTube, Russell Coy or Aussie Adventures. I love that show. That episode is so hilarious. If anybody doesn't get a laugh out of Russell Coy's or Aussie Adventures, you don't have a sense of humor. So yeah. But anyways, I was using that to try to distract myself, because otherwise, the whole occasion would easily overwhelm me. But yeah, and then 2:30 p.m. finally got the call from Mum, and it's a call that no mother wants to say to their son. I don't care what people say. That is, it's something that no mother wants to say to their oldest son that their grandmother or their nan has passed away, and it happened. And I was waiting for it, and I was just, and then eventually I got a call saying that Pop wants to see me because they've just arrived back from the hospital, and I just it was I can't explain the atmosphere in the room amongst all us in the family. I just can't explain it, because it was an atmosphere I never felt before in this family in all my years being alive and being alive on this earth. And every time every time Pop burst into tears, I would just go into another room, because I just felt so fucking uncomfortable. Felt incredibly uncomfortable, anxiety wise. Because for me, because if you guys don't know, I just don't like those sort of situations, those sad, things where there's sadness in the room or whatever, when something happens like that. I just don't like it, because I just get so uncomfortable, and I just need to go in another room, or and that, because otherwise, if I stay in the room, then it's gonna either overwhelm me, or I just get, or I could possibly get an anxiety attack, because I suffer really bad anxiety sometimes. So yeah, then we have to plan for the funeral, obviously. So yeah, and it was, and I've been to a funeral before, which was one of my uncles. He passed away over 10 years ago, actually. Went to a funeral then, but this is different. Like, this was very different, and got to experience firsthand what's, how to plan a funeral. So yeah, so yeah, then I had to go to Traralgon, which is near where I live, to go get a suit. Go get a suit to wear, and that. So yeah, and then I was chosen, obviously, to hold the coffin as well. I was just, and it was just, it was just unbelievable, really. And then the funeral happened, and then the day of the funeral, it was just, it was just surreal, to be quite honest, seeing the coffin, that sort of stuff. It was just surreal, and then having to carry the coffin to the car and that sort of stuff, and I just, it was just pretty. As I said, I just couldn't describe it. Some of all of our family and friends, all our family and friends were there as well. So yeah. And then we all got in our cars and got to the burial being down at the cemetery. Yeah, and to be quite honest, I noticed something that at the ceremony that will live with me for the rest of my life. And it makes me proud of my nan. I thought originally that there was going to be like probably about 20-30 people that was going to be there at the burial ceremony, which is us family members, maybe a couple of close friends of Nan that were there, but probably almost everybody that was there at the ceremony at the church went to the cemetery. And I thought to myself, oh my God, that's some of these people probably knew Nan because of me mum, because of me aunt, because of me uncle, because of me cousins, and they all turned up to basically even to be there for them and basically to say goodbye to their nan or mum and that. So yeah, it was yeah, carrying the coffin to the grave as well. And it was basically and then obviously it was a tough time. Really for everyone. Then we all went to the wake and that sort of stuff, and yeah. So it was, and what also scared, and what also is something that everybody in the family probably is not getting over. Probably I don't know how. I don't know if we get over this. Was that before at the start of this, Nam was actually at the cemetery picking out a burial site for her and Pop when they go. 14 days later, she's buried in the same one. I just can't fathom that. I just can't get over that and how fresh it is. I don't know if something was going on. Did Nan know something that we all didn't, and she didn't never told us about? We will never know. We will never know about it. And us family members, we weren't prepared for it. We just weren't. Even Pop said this himself, that he expected him to go first. He said it. He even still to this very day still thought that it was going to be him, but it wasn't. And it's a brutal as hell reminder that you can't choose who goes first out of the grandparents. You can't choose first. We all as a family can't choose who goes. God, to be honest, the universe decides, and for some reason, it chose Nan. And yeah, so yeah. And then afterwards, I said this in one of the early BRAYTalks episodes that, and also in the update video just released yesterday or early today or yesterday, it said that I had mental health problems when I was 19 because I couldn't get a job and that sort of stuff. Eventually that came back too, because I was spending so much time trying to take care of me pop that I was pop that it was taking a toll on me mentally. Mum basically had to get me to the doctors to see me GP to do a mental health test, and the results just shocked her, to be quite honest. There, and she knew straight away that I had to come back here more regularly, because if I stay with Pop, then it was just going to drive me mental health was going to get worse. And it didn't help by the fact that with my, because this is probably something that I haven't mentioned as well. With work, the only way I could work is through funding from NDIS, National Disability Insurance Scheme. That money, that funding ran out. Because I remember this because we got the phone call on the morning of my nan's funeral that funding ran out. So basically, I couldn't go back to work. Basically, but luckily it was all sorted out. It was all sorted out quite quickly. And I had funding 5 years, and I got it. So yeah, and eventually I got back to work. Eventually got back to work. To be quite honest here, haven't told anybody, any family member about this, anybody from work about this. But there was at times during the first week back, because luckily they sent me back 3 days just to be there for Pop, and then for 3 day week at work for the first 2 weeks, and then back to 5. That first week, to be honest, there was at times where I was excited for it throughout a day, and then there was days, and then there was a time in the day where I would just be depressed about the whole situation, about Nam passing away and that sort of stuff. And this is something also I haven't said as well. I just had trouble sleeping because and I started having sort of like nightmares, and just be really paranoid about because before this I still cared about I didn't want to die, about dying, that sort of stuff, but I didn't. At the same time, I was like, really. And then this one, I thought this really hit me hard, and I just couldn't sleep. Because I remember having one nightmare where I just had visions of the funeral. I had visions of the funeral, Nan's funeral again. Only this time, it was mum. It was my mum. It was my mum that I had visions of it. And that's something I just couldn't get out of my head. Something I just couldn't get out of my head. I just could not get that out of my head. And there was one night where I woke up and I just, for some reason, just started bawling my eyes out. I don't know why. I just don't know. I was beginning to bawl my eyes out and I stopped myself. But because some people might ask me, why weren't you, you know, everybody else's it was sad and emotional when Nan died, and even at the funeral as well, why didn't you? Well, the reason being is me as an me as an adult, I'm not me as an adult, I'm not an emotional person. I was when I was a kid. I was when I was a kid, and I'll be first to admit it. I was a very very sensitive kid. And say something bad or whatever or that, I would just be in tears because and that so yeah, that's something I do admit that I did. But now as an adult, I'm not that overly an emotional person, to be quite honest. This really tested me on that. And I would give in to it, but I thought at the end of the day, Nan, everyone else is, you know, emotional over this. Someone in the family, for her needs to be strong for the family, and I thought I need to be the one that did it. So yeah. So as I said, that's why I didn't, you know, cry or whatever, or wasn't in tears or was sad at the funeral because and went in after Nan passed, because some people might say that I didn't care about Nan because I wasn't sad or wasn't in tears after Nan passed away. But for me, it was you know, grief, it handles in different ways, and I still just can't, you know, just can't fathom what's just been happening. So just to wrap this up here, it was a tough time for me and my family. We're slowly getting to grips with it. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for my pop. He as I said, he needs help and care 24/7. Really, and now that Nan's gone, my mum goes there every day. My aunt goes there every so often when she's off work. She's off work. My uncle travels down here whenever he can, and rings him every day about conversations, that sort of stuff. So yeah, but other than that, you know, and he gets, you know, into some family members, that sort of stuff. But he's mostly alone, and yeah, so Christmas this is gonna be a tough Christmas coming up, because I still can't believe it's only over a month since before Christmas, and it's going to be a tough one for us because we're not going to have Nan there as well, and yeah, so that's all pretty much I have to say, really. But yeah, so like this video, shares to anybody who's been through the same as I have with a family member or two passing away. Comment down below if you have a story in terms of family tragedy and how you dealt with it. I want to hear a story. hear that Thomas story, that would be really appreciated. And one last thing, somewhere down there, click on the big red button which is labeled subscribe. It really does help me out quite a bit since now I come back from a tumultuous time for me and also my family. So yeah, but until next time, guys. I'll see you guys later.